We're going to talk about problems in the polarity, femininity, relationship coaching industry, dating industry too, masculinity coaching too. Less so with the masculinity stuff's a little bit different. We're going to have a lot of fun with this one. This is something, I mean, I'm always passionate with everything I talk about, but this one I've been wanting to talk about for a while. The coaching industry, I'm gonna talk in a bit of black and white terms here. I guess I do that sometimes. Of course, there's a bit of nuance, there's a bit of gray area, but in general, this entire industry is such a joke. Like, it is such a joke. Yes, there are coaches that are great and have helped people have amazing transformations and everything as well. So I'm not discounting that. I consider myself to be one. So, obviously it's not a black and white issue, but there is so much garbage, we'll say, in this industry. And no, by the way, I'm going to use this as an opportunity. It is not because it is unregulated. Okay. All those, whenever I see coaches talking about how the industry needs more regulation, no, keep the government out of the coaching industry. That's not the problem. Okay. People need more discernment. That would be really helpful. Taking full responsibility for yourself as a potential client and discerning whether coaches are full of BS and someone that you should actually be getting advice from. Always telling people, take full responsibility for everything, including whoever you're paying. So it's not that. It's so in the industry, though, there are so many coaches that everybody wants to be a coach these days, right? Everybody wants to be a coach. And there's so many coaches that are just not qualified to be coaches. I'm going to give you an example. A woman, I'm picking on women here, men, totally the same issue, but I just see it way more than women. With women. That's why I'm going to pick on them. So nothing about it being a man or woman thing. A woman who is single, who has never had a truly polarized, long-term, committed relationship where the man is totally cherished, totally taking care of her, and it's fully sustainable, and she's coaching polarity and just how to communicate in a relationship, how to be feminine in a relationship. That's a really big problem. And it's a really big problem in a, if not significant minority, then quite possibly an actual majority of coaches. That's crazy. Like, that is crazy to me that happens. And that is not to discount the fact that people, man or woman, could have a lot of knowledge and a lot of experience to give some good advice and to get some kind of good client outcome. I'm not saying that that's not possible. Of course it's possible. Of course. What I am saying, though, is that, it's like, put it this way. If I'm a woman, I'm a masculinized woman, or a doormat, or just a boss babe or whatever, and I want to get coaching from somebody. Do I want to get coaching from somebody who's never achieved the goal that I want? Even if they can be helpful in some kind of way, they have never actually achieved the goal that I want. So why would I get coaching from them? Why would I listen to them in the first place? It makes very little sense. Now, again, I don't want to paint this in fully black and white terms, because as an example, in my academy program, we have hundreds of women. I absolutely love my women clients to death. They're fantastic. And some of them do teach femininity, and some of them are, they're great. And I think that they have a lot to offer. I'm not saying that they don't. So we'll get to that. The issue is more that when you don't have your own, this is what it is. If you as a coach, or a coach that you're looking for, a coach that you want to work with, doesn't have their own full map that they have traversed on to get from A to Z, then how are they going to be able to fully navigate that with you? How would they do it? It's like I would say, and obviously this isn't the only thing about being a coach, right? Like a person could have a fantastic relationship, like a super polarized relationship, and be an absolutely awful coach. Like they don't ask questions. They'd make a whole bunch of assumptions. They don't really understand your specific problems. They keep projecting their stuff onto you, right? All of that's a big problem. So there's many skill sets that go into being a really good coach, but one of them is having traversed the terrain yourself, right? The reason that I got into coaching, polarity coaching in the first place, is because I went from having a very dysfunctional marriage, like it was, relatively good for a while, and then it became quite dysfunctional, and we just were not communicating properly. And I had to literally learn by trial and error how to communicate with my wife, and how and what to teach her to teach her how to communicate with me in a way that inspires me, in a way that, what I later realized, because I didn't have the terms back then, activated my masculine instinct to take care of her. It made me want to cherish her, not from obligation, but just because, like, oh, I want to take care of you. That feels so good when you communicate with me this way, right? So everything that I learned was from trial and error, and I know it worked, or at the time, I know it worked. It can work at least once, because I did it. So that's an N=1 experiment. Does that mean, oh, it can work with every single person? No, of course not. That would be ridiculous. But at the time, it's like, okay, this works. This at least works for some people, because it worked for me. And wow, it changed everything so quickly. Why are people wasting all their years in therapy and all of these other things that get very mediocre results, if anything, usually lead to divorce eventually? It's like, this is amazing. And like the results are instantaneous. It's like, as soon as my wife shifts her communication the way that I show her, boom, I want to take care of her. As soon as I shift the way that I'm communicating, boom, she's actually receptive and wanting to respect my lead instead of being all resistant and judgy. And I say boom immediately. Sometimes there's a little bit of stuff that had to be moved through, but for the most part, that's true. And then what I did next is like, okay, that's amazing. I started posting about it. And then I started one-on-one coaching, started getting good results from that. Started a group coaching program, now discontinued group coaching program. It's like, okay, this is starting to seem totally universal here. It's like, and by that time I was learning about masculine and feminine instinct and programming, right? It's like every woman is feminine in her essence. Every man is masculine underneath all the wounding. That's why it works so, like the end goal of where I bring people to as a coach, it's like, it's 100% where they need to go. Every single person, unless they want to stay stuck in wounds and like really deep trauma. But that's where everyone needs to go. The terrain, might look a little bit different, because some people are going to have more to get there, right? The roadmap to get there. It's going to look different for every single person, because, person A, if we're talking about women specifically, it's the same for men, but, woman A has huge issues just allowing men to take advantage of her and, violate her. Woman B has no problem asserting boundaries and stuff, but she can't let go of control, and she's terrified of being vulnerable. The end destination is the same. A big part of the way that I'm going to get that woman, both women, to the end goal is the same, but we're going to traverse very different fears, very different resistances, types of resistance, very different stories, very different self-worth patterns. And I have to have the skills as a coach to help each individual through that. Okay. But if a woman or man, so a woman or man coach doesn't have that end goal of knowing like this, it's like they might have the end goal of like, oh yeah, where both people are happy. That's kind of an obvious end goal. But a much less obvious end goal is like all the nuance of exactly what that looks like. So then you've got, and there's a range of this as well, right? You got feminine, and I'm sticking to the femininity coaches here because again, it's like, I don't know, masculinity coaches are more focused on like cold plunges and like taking hikes up mountains and stuff. I don't see many that are focusing on masculine communication. So I'm not going to tear them apart in the same way I am with a lot of femininity coaches, because it's just like, there's so many of them. I see there's like hundreds of them. With the femininity coaches, they don't know, they might not have all the nuance. So you've got one, so some femininity coaches, it's like literally, and this is crazy to me, but yeah, like women shouldn't be submitting to their man or to their husband or whatever. Just like your map of relationships is totally screwed up. Like it's been colored on by toddlers. Like you have no idea where you're even going. Your map is useless. It's like, you don't even believe that submission, or another good one is like, women shouldn't ask permission to a man. There's lots of femininity coaches teaching that. If a woman femininity coach, or any femininity coach, is teaching that, man or woman, yeah, women shouldn't be asking permission to their man. Block. I mean, that's what I would say. Like, I suggest you do that, because they don't know what they're talking about. They're not in a polarized relationship. Even if they're in a relationship, because there are definitely a reasonable amount of femininity coaches that are in relationships. But if they're not teaching a woman how to ask permission, they're not in touch with their feminine instinct. They're not even in touch with their feminine instinct. And almost definitely, if they are in a relationship, it's an inverted relationship where they might both think that they're in a polarized relationship. The man looks like he's leading, the woman looks like she's submitting, but the woman's actually fully in control, and the man is actually covertly complying with the woman to try to be the man that she thinks he should be, play the part of the masculine. That's a mask. That's not embodiment. That is a masculine mask and a feminine mask, and they're both acting on a stage, and they often don't even realize that they're acting on it. There are many, I'm telling you, I know, because I've had clients like this. I don't think any from the academy, but I've had clients like this, one-on-one clients, other clients, and I've just seen it a lot as well. The vast majority, I'm gonna say vast majority of femininity coaches that are in a relationship today are wearing a mask, and they either don't realize it, or they do realize it but don't care because they want to make money from the coaching. It's so clear from the way that they're communicating and from what they are teaching that there is no way that there is true polarity in that relationship. I know, because just from the language, I don't even have to know the energetic. I don't even have to feel the energetic behind the language. Just from the energetic, or just from the language, just from the words that are used, no, there's not really any real polarity there. And especially when I see the resistance that comes up around certain things like asking permission. Prior to me becoming a coach and teaching men and women how to have polarized relationships, I had never seen a femininity coach talk about asking a man permission for things. That, like, maybe that existed, but I never saw it. I actually see it a lot now, because my teachings have spread, right? I've sold thousands and thousands of copies of my books. Many of them were bought by coaches. And of course, what's funny is I'm teaching polarity. I'm also the most polarizing polarity coach there is, in the sense that I have created, and I love it because I actually like being controversial, so it's funny to me, but I have created this massive divide in the masculinity, femininity, polarity, coaching, whatever movement. So you got coaches on one side who are like, oh my God, this is it. I really thought that I knew a lot about masculinity and femininity, but this is just a totally different level. And like understanding the communication and the energetics behind the communication. Oh, I get it so more. And then they start implementing it with their clients, whether they're polarity coaches, or they might just be a therapist, or sorry, not just a therapist, but a therapist, not trying to devalue that, a therapist, or, energy healer or whatever it is that they're doing, they start implementing that stuff into their practice with their clients, and they start getting amazing results, because of course what I teach works, and it works extremely well. And they're open to it. They're open to it. Why? Because their instincts are online, at least enough to be receptive to what I am speaking, to the truth that I have brought to the world. And this is so much of what my gift is. This is so much about what my purpose is. However it snowballs from here, I was meant to bring these teachings to the world, to change the world in this way. So you got all of these coaches and people that are like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. And, I actually get a lot of client referrals that way from people that have, they tell their clients about my books and all of that stuff. And by the way, I'm really grateful for that. Thank you for any coach, anyone who has done that. I really appreciate you for doing that. And not just helping me, but helping your clients and putting their needs first and everything. And then there's the other side. There's the other side of the divide that I have created that are like, oh, most of them are on my block list. And, I have something, I don't know, 1,500, 2,000 people on my block list. Haven't really checked in a long time. And hundreds of them are coaches. Hundreds of the 1,500, 2,000 people I have on my block list are coaches. What does that say? And a huge portion of them are femininity coaches, or at least into some kind of femininity stuff. Their instincts aren't online. Isn't that crazy that we have hundreds, and not only the ones that have found me so far, but hundreds and hundreds of these coaches whose instincts are not even online enough to realize that it's feminine for a woman to ask a man permission. That it's a turn on. Like when a woman's instincts are online and she asks a man permission, that's a turn on. It's like, oh, that's really hot. This is assuming, of course, that a man actually cares about her, that he's cherishing her, because it's about being equal, but in different ways. It's not about the woman being less than. Now, of course, many women listening to even to this are like, permission? I don't know about that, Zach. A lot of your other stuff was good, but asking permission, well, yeah, I mean, that's one of the most triggering parts of my teaching. But it just means you've got that wounding that's on top, the wounding of being hurt so badly by the masculine, whether there's a father, past boyfriend, uncle, someone who, molested you, all kinds of things. You didn't get all the love that you needed. You didn't get that imprinting, and you masculinized yourself by developing this independent identity, which asking permission is going to be a huge conflict, identity conflict, right? So that's where the resistance is. But your instinct is online enough to listen to me, unless you just tuned in the last 2 minutes. It's online enough to listen to me. So it's like, there's something here. There's something that's resonating, and he's triggering at the same time. What's this all about? Yeah, that's normal. I mean, even our academy students, many of them come into the program and they're like, oh, I don't know about this permission thing. All the rest sounds great. But but they work through it. They work through that resistance, which is not what most polarity and femininity coaches are doing. They stay stuck. They stay stuck in the trauma. They stay stuck in the wounding indefinitely. And they cater. Like, the thing is, they don't threaten me in any way. I talk about this just to help people that are kind of more on the fence, or like not knowing, oh, like Zach's saying this and this person saying this. And, I really respect that person as well. It's like, they are going to be catering to a certain type of person whose instincts are also not online. And if they're not online, they're not really going to resonate with what I'm putting out there anyway. So it's like, great, maybe they will be able to help people at least take 1 or 2 steps forward, cost them thousands of dollars and years of time. And then in the future, maybe they'll be open enough to actually truly become feminine embodied and actually attract and inspire a devoted masculine man. So it's all fine. It'd be nice though if people shift, and including all of these coaches, shift faster. But yeah, anyway, I have to end up blocking a lot of them, because here's the other thing that happens. Here's the other fun thing that happens. And I see this more over time. It's like, and I actually want to know in the comments. I'm going to respond to all these comments in a moment. but just say like, yes, I've seen this, if you've actually seen this before. Coaches that are now using the academy and me, not necessarily by name, usually not by name, but just like they'll reference it somehow as a way to make themselves and their own work look better, right? And it's funny because they will they don't even know what they're talking about. So one of the ways that they'll do this is saying like the anti-scripts thing. You know, polarity coaches polarity that's taught by men, they'll teach women how to use scripts with feminine communication. And I'm not about that. I teach real embodiment. And what's funny is, like, I know they're talking about us. We don't even teach scripts. We don't teach scripting. I give examples of things that women can say in my books, in my masterclass, and certainly in my academy course and program. Hundreds and hundreds of examples. But I don't teach scripts. I don't say, hey, ladies, memorize all of these lines and then use these scripts on your man. I'm not saying that would be the worst thing to do, but I don't do that. It's not what we're about. We teach women how to connect to their feminine instinct, their feminine energy, by shifting their language. So when a woman says, like, you know, may I have some help, as a great classic example, oh, may I have some help? She's shifting into her feminine energy in that moment. She's connecting. Now, could she say it in a masculine way? Hey, may I have some help? Yeah, I mean, it's hard, but if a woman is very masculinized and disconnected from her instinct, sure, she could masculinize even that phrase, which is like the most feminine phrase in the world. But it's just to help you connect to your instinct. And then your instinct, once you're really connected and you get a feel for the language, you can say, you know, all kinds of things without memorizing anything. It just comes out. Just like me, I didn't memorize any masculine scripts. When I give a woman a directive, it's because I'm just connected to what I want. Just connected to what I want, or what I want my wife to do, or someone to do. And I just direct them lovingly, you know, with my heart online, but also with my power online at the same time. I didn't memorize anything. Okay. So anyway, it's like coaches are using the academy as a way to differentiate themselves, to look superior, to look better. And of course they get like 2 likes on their post. So that's funny as well. But because why are they getting 2 likes? Because they're disconnected from their instinct. So people aren't resonating. Now there's a few exceptions, but for the most part, that's generally what's going on. You know, when I started coaching, I just said what I thought was true without even getting any, I didn't even hire anyone to teach me how to market. It's just like, here, this is true. This is true. This is true. Let's say a whole bunch of true things and see what happens. I'll just do it for fun. All right. I'm going to go through some of the comments here. I'm not going to, just so you know, I'm not going to answer anything that's totally unrelated to what I'm talking about. I'll be a future post. You have experienced the full spectrum in order to coach. That's why I'm here. Thank you. How many years you've been married, bro? I forgot. We both have a following, 20 for me. I have been married. I just had my 7-year anniversary. I got married, and 3.5. I think it's now been 3, or maybe 4. I think it's been 4 now since I started learning about polarity and transforming everything. It's crazy. Different entry points and different relationship dynamics regarding polarity implementation. I've seen folks hire coaches to validate their belief. Yeah, hire coaches to validate their belief system, help and amplify their dysfunction. That is really, really important. By the way, since I'm going to probably just go on I'm having so much fun. I'm going to just keep going, but I'm going to just throw this out there before I continue. If you haven't joined my masterclass yet, I've been doing them for like 1.5 years or something like that, and you still haven't joined, almost 2 years, get your butt in one of our masterclasses. Oh, by the way, so I got to put that up. There we go. polaritymasterclass.com. That's where you go. That is where you start learning all this communication, not because it's a script, but because we're reconnecting you to your instincts as a man or as a woman. So this comes out naturally. It feels so good. it comes out in a way that feels so good. For me, when I give a directive, when I set a boundary, when I give a loving judgment, it feels good. It feels powerful. When a woman that I have taught, that I've worked with, or has at least done our masterclass, connects to her feminine instinct and gives, asks permission or shares her feelings vulnerably, or shares her need vulnerably, or, shares a problem that she's experiencing vulnerably, she's just connected. That feels so good. She gets to let go. She gets to just let go and just open herself to receive care from a man and just be seen. Just be seen. It's a beautiful, beautiful thing. That's what we're doing in the masterclass. So polaritymasterclass.com, we show you how to do that, and then we actually role play it for you. We show you what it looks like. You get to feel the energy behind it. It's pretty awesome. Okay, so let's go back to this comment. So folks that hire coaches to validate their belief systems and help and amplify their dysfunction. That is what is happening. So you got these, on the more extreme end of the spectrum, you got like the boss babe femininity coaches that I've been pointing out ever since I started coaching. Like, this is not feminine. Masculine men are not attracted to this. You feel more, I'm not telling them this, I'm not going to be mean, but I'll tell my audience, masculine men are not attracted to this power, to this, like, this empowerment, this, like, women can be empowered in a feminine way, but they do it in a masculine way. Men don't want that. Men aren't attracted to that. Men aren't inspired by that. And it's all built on a wound. It's built on this giant wound. A lot of them probably shifted originally from like extreme victimhood, where they're just like a doormat and all this stuff. And then they learned how to be masculine, to protect themselves, to create a shield from being truly vulnerable. And the thing is, it's tricky because they can actually speak the language. A lot of these women, they'll talk about submission. They can even talk about feminine communication. They can use so many of the words that I'm talking about, but their embodiment is not there. And they're not actually doing the things that they're talking about. I mean, if they're single, that should be obvious. Like, if you're still single and you're teaching this stuff, why hasn't your devoted man been called in yet? Now, of course, if it's been like a week, okay, it's fine. But a lot of them have been doing this for years and years and years. It's not supposed to take years. It certainly doesn't take years for my clients, or at least the vast, vast majority of them. And when you actually take this stuff seriously, and they're starting from, like, a lot of our clients are like, start out extremely deeply traumatized, except they know it. They're actually aware of it. They admit it. And then others not so traumatized, but still have their stuff to work through to learn their communication and everything. And they're getting devoted men. They're getting a lot of interest from actually masculine men. Anyway, maybe I'm ranting about this too much, but yeah, that's what women do not women, but people. They'll hire coaches to validate their belief systems, to amplify their dysfunction, which is why they stay on the healing hamster wheel forever. Like years and years and decades. And it's like, okay, I'm like 50 years old. I'm a single mom. I still don't have a devoted man. And I've been healing. I've been learning. This is it's funny. Okay. And I don't want to be making fun of anyone. Okay. So I don't want to be shaming anybody, but there is humor in this at the same time. So we got to laugh at it, but not at people. Like, it's not about laughing at people. You've been doing femininity work for 20 years. Or 10 years, and you're still single, and you think you have it all figured out. If you've been doing femininity work for 20 years and you are single, unless you had a relationship for years and that man died, then I don't know what you've been learning. It's not supposed to take 2 decades. It is absolutely not supposed to take 2 decades of femininity work to still not have a man. Still not have a man who's fully devoted to, and specifically devoted to, right? Not one of those relationships with the femininity mask and masculinity masks, where it's just totally inverted polarity, but it looks polarized on the surface. I don't know what they're learning, but they need to join the academy and actually get this figured out, or at least attend my masterclass and, realize, oh my God, maybe I don't know what I was learning all this time. And by the way, you can't learn femininity without polarized communication. Like, sure, you can be in a feminine energy doing yoga poses and frolicking around in the forest in your underwear. But how is that going to help you in a relationship? It's not. You need communication for that. You need communication as a way to stay in your feminine all the time to get your needs met. That's why, if the coach, I mean, unless your goal is to frolic in the forest in your underwear, it's like, I really want to be able to do that. That would be super fun. Great. Hire one of those coaches that doesn't teach polarized communication, doesn't make a major focus of feminine communication. We don't teach you how to frolic in the woods in your underwear. It's not what we do. We teach you feminine communication, and we teach you how to connect to your feminine instinct, and we teach you how to feel all your feelings. If you struggle with that still, if you're dissociated or emotionally dysregulated, we help you with a lot of that as well. And help you with that a big part of it is by helping you learn the communication, because that helps you get more in touch with what's going on there and help you regulate more. It's all connected. Maybe we should have frolicking in your underwear course, though. I think that's going to be my next one. I teach women how to run around in the woods in your underwear, in a silk dress, skimpy dress, and just be in your feminine energy. I hope you guys are having fun listening to this so far. I'm having a fantastic time. Let's keep going. May I ask if you've read the book Secure Love? Talks about attachments. If so, what's your opinion, please? I'm going to just very briefly go into this because it's kind of off topic, but I think it's still important. I have not read that book. If you're referring to attachment styles, I'm very, very aware of attachment styles. And I know that I'm not saying it's useless to learn. Like, there's value in learning everything. But what I am saying is people can just get so caught up in attachment theory stuff and you just stay stuck in it. Like, it becomes almost impossible to get out of. You can heal your attachment stuff with polarized communication by learning to shift your patterns to actually inspire love and bring up all that wounding to the surface for you to feel, so that you can eventually feel fully safe, so you can become secure attached. That's a big part of what we do. We don't really advertise that, but that's really what we're doing. You don't need if you have a whole bunch of knowledge about attachment theory stuff, great. That'll probably help you a little bit, but you don't need it to become secure attached. You don't need to even know what the word secure attached is to become secure attached. You just need to do femininity work. Or as a man, you need to do masculinity work. Yeah, Vivian says, I will ask permission all day, every day, right? So that is a woman whose feminine instincts are online. It's like, that is hot to a masculine man. That's what a man wants. Or part of what a man wants. Obviously, he wants a lot more than that. But a man whose masculine instincts are online, it's like, oh, yeah, she's so permissive. I love it when she asks permission. And that doesn't make a woman less than in any way, right? Because a permissive woman who's in her self-worth, she's going to be asking permission for all the things that she needs. It's like she knows she's worthy of it. She knows that she's worthy of being taken care of. So she's an equal, just in a different way. But a lot of femininity coaches have an issue with that. And again, just run away from serious. I mean, if you need to compare for a while, go ahead. But it's just like these coaches will just speak from their wounds. They think that they're speaking truth, but it's just speaking from their wounds and attracting other women who are wounded in the same kind of way, who unconsciously want to stay stuck. And what I love about my audience, what I love about my followers who stick with me, is it's like, you're brave. Like, what would you call it? Spiritual bravery or emotional bravery? It's like, I'm not talking about like the kind of bravery where you got to go fight a bear, but like the ego has so many defenses to stay safe, like to keep its belief systems safe, your identity that you've created safe. And so when something threatens those belief systems, the main one being the truth, that will be triggering to some degree. And so what I love about my followers is, most of them anyway, you get triggered and you might be, some of my followers are like, oh my God, Zach, you're amazing. You're like 100%. I don't even get triggered. This is just the best thing ever. And then I got other followers on the other side of the spectrum that are like, I get triggered by every single thing you say, but I stick with you because I can just feel that this is it. This is like something is resonating with me so strongly. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool that people are willing to be brave and emotionally mature enough to just stick through like truth after truth after truth, all those memes in the masterclass. And, you know, especially if you go into the academy, you know, you got to really face yourself. And not many people are willing to do that. Not many coaches are willing to do that. And that's the sad thing, because if a coach isn't willing to do it, then how are they going to really help you on a deep level to do it yourself? You know, like that's one of the things I will say about myself as a coach is like, I've been there. I have had to face literally every belief, pretty much every belief I've ever been programmed with was BS. Doesn't matter if it was relationships, economic, political, the way the world works, just my identity stuff, like everything. It's all BS. It was all BS. And I had to face all that. I had to let go of my entire identity to get where I am today. Because letting go of your identity is necessary to fully love all of you and reach a level of embodiment that you want, and to have a polarized relationship as well. You can't, if you want a polarized relationship, you can't hold on to that identity. Got to let that go, because your identity is in between the loving, devotional, amazing relationship that you want. Okay. So I have no issue asking permission, actually, or permission, which surprises me. I feel a huge desire to seek permission, and I'm actually feeling overwhelmed with the thought of asking and permission being granted. Yeah, I feel I will soften so deeply through this process. Yeah, and a big part of that for women, of course, I don't know if this is your exact issue, but typically it's because of self-worth stuff where you don't even realize that you're worthy of it. Like you don't believe on that deep level that you're worthy of just receiving so much care. So it can actually be quite scary or uncomfortable. But we help women with that as well, because guess what? You are worthy of all of that. You are worthy of your devoted man who cherishes you and takes care of you and protects you, provides for you, listens to all of your feelings, holds space for them, and coaches you to be better as he leads himself to be better as well. But there's a lot of self-worth stuff that has to shift for you to not go into the self-sabotage patterns. And that's one of the reasons what I teach with the feminine communication is so helpful, so that you know, it's like, oh, that wasn't feminine communication. Yeah, I shifted into a really unhealthy pattern there. What could I have done? Oh yeah, I could have used feminine communication. That's how I heal all my wounding. I talk about your work, and I'm recommending you and your books all over the place. You're a leader in the field, William. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Love hearing stuff like that. Not because of my ego. I just, maybe a little bit because of my ego, but mostly just I want to be able to, I want everybody to benefit from this work as much as possible, because there's just so much value. I've tried using "may I ask" to ask permission over and over. My husband has directly told me, do not use that phrase with me. I will not even answer you, just ask. Yeah, and this is an issue that a lot of my students in the academy have because they're married to or have a boyfriend whose instincts are not fully online. So we get a range of responses. Some, their man is just like, oh my God, I just want to do everything for you now. This is hot. And others, it's much more challenging. So we got to get a lot more nuanced. You got to get really specific to help. Like, can he still shift? Yeah, he can. But he's not going to shift just by you asking, may I ask, over and over again. There's a lot more that has to be done. And that's one of the things that we do in our academy program. It's also something, if you haven't been on our masterclass, that's a great question to ask, because we could give you some context about what you should be doing and trying. But yeah, like some of this stuff for some men who are just deeply, deeply wounded can take months for them, or even longer, for them to really start to like a woman asking permission, because they've got their own shame. They got their own shame of being in that role, of being the masculine pole in the dynamic, of being treated with that level of respect. They don't believe they deserve it. May I ask how to deal with a guy who disregards and hates when a woman shows submission and directs her to speak more direct? Yeah, so exact same thing, Nina, as the last question. I'm not going to go into that here, but you know, I really recommend book a spot for the masterclass and ask that question. And then of course, if you are at some point interested in working with us in the academy, that's where we do the deepest level stuff, and it's ongoing support and community and role modeling. A lot of women there are dealing with that very issue, and it's like I just can't give a few sentence answer about it. It's just so nuanced. Am I available one-on-one call? Are you available for a one-on-one call? Is like some advice as a single mom, to give some advice as a single mom. Stephanie, reach out to me. Just send me a message on Facebook. We can talk about that. May I ask about the super spiritual ones that talk that talk about codes and lineages? Yeah, that could be an entirely new video. You know, here's the thing, like, and again, I don't want to just take a dump on everybody, okay? I'm a kind person. I will be very honest and blunt, but I know everybody's doing their thing. And you know, they're attracting their own tribe and all of that stuff. I can say for me, like, it's not that there's like not truth to that. It's not that it's BS. It just, I don't resonate with it at all as a way of talking about this stuff. It's like, because here's what it is. I believe, I'm not saying people are doing this, and I'm not saying if they are doing it that they're doing it consciously, but I believe that it is a fantastic marketing strategy that attracts certain types of people by keeping things really vague and like elite. Where it's like, hey, Misty, I got these magical codes to sell you. They're the most magical codes in the world. Only I have them. I'm imprinted with them, and I can imprint them to you, but you've got to pay me $20,000, and then I will imprint them to you, and then you will have the codes too. How are you going to get those codes otherwise? You got to pay me the $20,000 or however much it is. And because it's so vague, it's like, where would how would I even start getting the codes otherwise? I don't know. They're magical, and only this person apparently has them. You know, I don't talk about codes because I am a very practical person. Yes, I am coded in a certain way with certain gifts and certain knowledge, much of which can be passed on to other people who follow me, and especially people who work with me, to change their imprinting to show up in a totally different way, and heal their wounding and get their devoted polarized relationship, or as a man, get your woman who reveres you. Yeah. But I talk about it in the most simple, obvious way. Like, here, learn feminine communication. Shift your energy so that you're not penetrating and not leading, not trying to get an outcome, so that your heart is energetically open. And like, then I talk about it in my books and my masterclass. It's like, here, do this. This is how you get results. I'm not like hiding everything from people. It's like, I wrote 5 books about the topic. I have a 2-hour masterclass about the topic, role playing it. It's like, yeah, if you want to pay me thousands of dollars, fantastic. Then we'll talk about my academy program. We'll go do a call, and we'll give you the most rapid transformational experience you could have ever experienced. That's way better than what pretty much anything else I've ever seen in the space is offering. But I'm not going to be hiding behind a bunch of codes that make me sound like some mystical person that, you know, you can't learn this stuff without. No, you could learn everything just from the books and the masterclass. It's just going to take you way, way, way longer than getting ongoing support in our community. But like, I'm not withholding the magical codes from you guys. I'm telling you what to do. And then if you want my support, I can help you do it way better, much faster, much less drama, with much less chance of a breakup or like spending the next 5 years single. That's what I offer, not codes. All right. That was a fun one. Thanks for the question there, Misty. All right. Yeah, Trisha, go ahead and share your experience. See if we have time for it. Is it appropriate to use this with a male boss? I tell my clients to experiment with this with everybody. It works very well in many contexts in the workplace. Not necessarily all the time, though. How to ask a boyfriend to take you out more, vacation, especially if we're both divorced and have kids from previous marriages, without sounding gold diggery. Facebook user, join my next masterclass. Okay, that's where I do give a few examples on here, but I don't like to get into the weeds of like specifics of the communication stuff. I want to give all the big picture stuff here, and then all that stuff. You spend $47, and it's the equivalent of me spending hours on here, like literally just asking everybody's communication or answering everyone's communication questions. It's like I made it so cheap so that everybody can do this. Even if you'll never be able to afford my academy program, just do the masterclass. I don't think there is a single program out there that's like for what you're getting for $47 that's more packed with value than that. Zach's books and academy have transformed our marriage, and may I share, I feel so thankful. Brianne, that's so fantastic to hear. And Brianne has been with us 2 months, maybe 3 months, relatively recent, I think, if I remember correctly. And it can often happen that quickly, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, and of course, her marriage is just going to keep on getting better. It's like, because it's not like she's gone from A to Z. I'm not even at Z. Z is like the theoretical perfect polarized relationship where nobody even makes mistakes anymore. I'm not there. But we are getting you on the fast track to get to Z as quickly as possible. And in 3 months, and even oftentimes sooner, you can go from like disaster, say your relationship's a disaster, right? So worst case, disaster relationship to like relatively good, and you guys are loving each other pretty much all the time now. Or if you're single, it's like perpetually single for years, and oh my God, I met the most masculine man or feminine woman, and now we're exclusive, and this has never happened to me before. That often happens. Why? Because when you make these shifts, your external reality will shift. If not right away, then eventually. And for some people, it's right away. Pretty cool. Amanda B says, best $47 I've ever spent. You hear that, everybody? All 31 of you that are listening right now, $47 by going to polaritymasterclass.com, booking your spot for our next one. Our next one's in March, and choosing to transform your life. Here's the other, I always say this, so I actually end up lying to everybody, so I don't want to say it, but it's probably the last thing that I'm going to say. Our masterclass for $47 has more value in it than many coaching programs that cost thousands of dollars. And I have like total conviction in that, because a thousands of dollars course with an hour or 2 hours of live trainings a week and a course and whatever, if it's not sourced fully from truth and experience of like what a polarized dynamic looks like and how to get there and exactly what it looks like, what a man is doing and what a woman is doing, then it's not worth that much. It is not worth that much. Here's the reason we make the masterclass so cheap. I mean, number one, I'd love just for everybody to be one big step closer to their dream relationship. So a lot of people don't have enough money to afford working with me. That's totally fine. But then two is I packed it so full with value, like literally the whole time we're just hammering these concepts, this kind of stuff, except going way more technical with like, here's how you can communicate in this way. Here's how you can, stop being a doormat. Here's how you can inspire a man to step up and take you out on trips. Here's how you can stop exposing yourself to a man who's arguing with you or, just taking emotional dumps on you. Or as a man, here's how you lead a woman out of disrespect and resistance and all this stuff that you don't want. We get really technical. We tell you all about what it looks like. We give you examples. We role play it for you. It's just so packed. And then the idea is, it's like, this was the best, like, here's the theoretical pretend person attendee who joins the masterclass in March. This was the best masterclass I've ever gone to. Or if you've never gone to one, this is the best thing I've ever experienced. This is the best use of my money ever. I have learned so much. So much more has clicked and makes sense. This is resonating with my masculine or feminine instincts so more. I would love this dream relationship, and I want it to happen as quickly as possible. And it's totally worth spending thousands of dollars on. So I'm going to go book a call with Zach. That's what it's about. It's not about withholding a bunch of stuff for you and being like, oh, I got the magic codes. If you want the magic codes, you got to book a call with me and then pay me the money. Otherwise, you won't even know what the magic codes are. No, I tell you what all the magic codes are in the masterclass, and then you can either apply them all yourself or you can work with us so that we can help you implement the magic codes much faster. How does that sound? All right. All right. Yeah, great. I'll take a look at that message right after this, Hilda. All right. I've gone on long enough. Wow, it was 50 minutes. It was some of the best 50 minutes I've ever spent. I've had a great time. It is time to take my daughter for a walk. So I'm going to sign off. If you haven't joined the masterclass yet, join our March one. Last time, polaritymasterclass.com. Go to the page, book your spot. You can learn a whole bunch about it, testimonials, all that stuff. Link. And I'll see you there. We're going to have a fantastic time. Bye for now.